Welcome to our newest exhibition here at the Project Space Gallery at the Peoria Art Guild. We have Robert Bolla here, and this is Faces of South Africa. So obviously we'll talk a little bit about traveling, but we welcome you back to Peoria. He was provost at Bradley University and has always been a photographer, and we've got an assortment of his faces from South Africa. I think the other thing is that what we really do want to talk a little bit about is your process too, because these are incredibly warm tones to these photos. And so why don't you tell us about your trip and how we arrived at these?
Actually, I'm not a photographer. I'm a molecular biologist, biochemist.
Oh,
and this is something I decided to do for fun after I retired. It's either watch Archie Bunker or do something worthwhile. This was a trip we took on a safari, actually, to South Africa. And I'm interested in ethnography, faces of people, where they live, what they do. And I like to show the world we're all the same, we do the same thing, we do it for the same reason, we want a good life. So we toured through South Africa, Cape Town, Botswana, Zimbabwe, throughout quite a bit of the area anyway, Zambia.
Mm-hmm. You use a regular camera?
I use a digital camera. It's a regular digital camera. These are gold tones, and in the late 1800s, early 1900s, Edward Curtis was photographing the American Indians. And if somebody wants that, I would really recommend people go to edwardcurtis.com and see his website and what he did. And I was really impressed with the gold tone thing. What Curtis would do is, he had a 13-inch camera, of course, and a hood. You stuck your head under the hood, and you had a lens in front of you. And I've actually done that with a plated plate, glass plate. Now you develop the plate, and that's your negative. Well, he would then take that negative and make a glass plate positive. And then he had a gold solution, 24 karat gold, he would paint the back plate with. Because what he wanted to do was give 3 dimensions to his pictures from the regular black and white. Yep. And if you were to see these in black and white, they're very flat, they're not 3-dimensional. And so I figured out a way digitally to do it, and I do it, and this is what happens.
Well, and I think, now, did you have people posing for these?
No, these are all pretty much candid. She probably posed for me.
Yeah. Well, I love it. We kind of did group them sort of thematically as far as these are 3 with kids being kids, which I think is just, that's the title of this one in particular.
This little boy had been, that's his Zoom box, he'd been out on the street busking all day, and he was just exhausted. And so he was in the corner. I actually have other pictures of his friend standing next to him. And he was in Cape Town. He was just in the market, enjoying a plate of strawberries. And those kids were at a home we visited.
And that I do. The title is "Kids Will Be Kids," and I think that's really true universally. So children hopefully have the same fun and calm and safe upbringing that we'd like to think of. And then we got into some of the workers and some of the entertainers and everything. And this lady in particular, we could use her. We have quite a bit of laundry at our house. And it's interesting that this is actually bed sheets or something like that.
She was the maid at the safari station we stayed at, and she was on her way to make up beds, and I just caught her.
And her smile is so real.
Yeah.
Are they a happy
They're very
people?
happy. She was very happy.
And that's really kind of fun. And then we have this group. Now, one of the, earlier today, a lady came in and she was looking at these and really studying them. And she was amazed at how it appears the faces almost pop. It just, I don't know.
That's the gold tone.
And she loved this. Because she said, this is a couple that they're just walking through the market or something. And she said, but I am drawn immediately to their faces and to their expressions. And
that's in Soweto. It's just down the street from Nelson Mandela's
really?
former home. And yes, I was lucky. We went up to Nelson Mandela's former home, and we're going to get over to the boys over there entertaining. They were entertaining outside the home, and it was a tour, so I don't like museums. So my wife and everybody else went into the museum, And I stayed out, and there was this lady standing in the back. And I went back and I said, could I take your picture? And she said, yes, you can take my picture. I already shot her 4 times, so it didn't matter. And we got to talking, and she was Nelson Mandela's niece, but she was also Desmond Tutu's niece through marriage. And I spent the afternoon with her, and the stories just flowed.
That's incredible, incredible. Well, and then we have this young man, who again, this is really one of the most true portraits, I should say. That it's doesn't appear candid, even though I'm sure you just stopped
he
him.
just posed.
He was, you know,
He just stopped.
but
Yeah, he stopped.
Emmanuel, and that, I mean, right there on his thing. What was his situation?
He was just a soldier in the Hotel Victoria in Victoria Falls. And
he
I just, you know, I liked his face, and
Well, he's got a lot of life to his, especially his eyes, but he also, he seems proud.
Yeah, he
and
does.
Were they a proud?
yeah, he
people?
seems very proud. And you know, we had a wonderful time. I mean, we could talk to anybody, any place on the street. You just talk to him. With a camera, you can capture anything.
Anything, that's true. It kind of does, gives you access
It's
automatically. And speaking of street, here we have this wonderful band of men that are singing, I suppose, just street
They're busking.
singers.
Yeah, they're just
busking.
busking.
So,
And a couple of them would get and make faces as well.
and,
Yeah, you didn't get those pictures set up here, but they made faces.
but I love, and just the casualness of
Yeah.
their dress and everything.
So Mandela's home is over on this side, and there. That's in Soweto.
And again, I can't believe the wonderful expression that the positive makes
Yeah.
when you start to print it. Here we have a family, and then we have a demonstration, a dance demonstration, as you titled
Yes.
it. And I can imagine, is this an ethnic dance that they were doing? Was
No,
this-
I don't know. We were in a school.
Oh,
We were in
okay.
a school in Zimbabwe, and they were practicing for something. And so that's just a candid shot. We just walked by them, and yeah, that's just, they were having fun.
And these are probably how old? Are these
Junior high school.
Junior, so, junior
Yeah.
high, that's wonderful. And were these bells or anything like that? Did
No,
that
they were
add
just tassels.
anklets to,
Yeah, just anklets.
to make it? Then we have here the working class, I think, for the most part. I love your sense of humor, Robert, because this happens to be a working man's lunch. And if you notice, I believe they're 2 beers.
They are 2 beers. And we were just eating lunch in someplace in Cape Town, and he was at that table, and his face was wonderful. So, and he was there with a couple of cans of beer.
And how much of this has to be edited? Do you have to cut it down? Do you focus more, or is this exactly
That's
what you saw?
exactly what I saw.
And that's
Yeah,
what you wanted to take
yeah,
right away.
All I do is resize them.
Yeah, and this is he's an artist, but what is this that he's carrying? Is this?
This is a basket he made.
So he makes baskets.
Yeah,
That's
he
his
made
artistry.
baskets. That was in Zimbabwe, and it was a little art fair.
Well, and I noticed the figures, the
I
little
think those
sculptures down
are
here
part of
that,
his too.
that are really quite interesting. And were they carved out of what was it?
Wood, and I'm not sure, but I think they were wood and some stone.
Because they, I mean, and again, these are the happiest people on earth, I swear.
Oh, he was a hoot. He was a real thrill to be around.
And is it outside of?
It's outside. It's out in the open. Out in the open.
So does he have a studio, or does
No,
he
he just is outside.
just
He does whatever. Yeah.
start doing
yeah,
his work?
Yeah, in the early morning, I have a good friend that was a student of mine here at Bradley, and he was from Zimbabwe, but he wasn't home at the time. But his uncle, who we found out was actually a big person at the Victoria Hotel, we spent the day with him, and he took us to the market, and it was just an outdoor market, and we just, you know, he said, these are the people who, and this is what they do. And as you, early in the morning, you see them coming across the bridge from Zambia to Zimbabwe with on motorcycles with all their stuff piled up on the back.
Isn't that,
Yeah.
it makes us count our blessings though,
Yes.
but it's also, I think, when you're in a city or a country like that, that you need to participate in the life that they live. And I think it's more impressionable when you do that, and you have a greater respect, I think, for other cultures. And this one is another one. This is just friends, and it is truly, were they working?
I don't know, they were in the street, they just came down the street and I saw them, two of them
This
together
one
and I
has
just
like
shot them.
a construction
Jacket on, and the other one's working at a hotel or something, and I just saw them and I just shot them 2 or 3 times.
And then this one is
Well,
the
he
tour
was-
guide,
yeah, he-
and what kind of tour did he?
I
was he
have no
guiding?
idea. He was in the Victoria Hotel and he had a bunch of people and he was up in front and he was standing there lecturing, and I just thought he looked
Well,
fun.
and if you looked closely, his attire is so curious, shall we say, because he appears to have all these buttons and badges that are sewn or just attached, and they're all like, I don't know if these look like wings, so I don't know if they're like people that have worked for the airlines or something.
Could
that
be,
have
yeah.
exchanged buttons with them and everything.
Well, he has the airline above him, so, and I have no idea what he's talking about because we were distance from him and
They were great. And then this last photo, I have to really, it just brings back a lot of memories. A Volkswagen van.
Yes.
And I have to admit, usually when I think of Cuba, I think of these old vehicles that they have, and they're in such great shape and everything. It's the same with
Same
South
through there,
Africa,
yeah.
that they do
Yeah.
drive the older,
They drive
which
it,
is
yeah.
kind of interesting that people don't need the highest, the newest, and the
thing.
most expensive
Yeah.
vehicles instead. But we all can relate to the Volkswagen
Van. That's why I
where
shot it.
everybody would pile in and go camping or
Yeah.
go do whatever. But it looks like it's in great shape.
It is, it was. That's her vehicle she goes back and forth to the flea market with.
And she did it. Well, we just thank you so much for sharing these with us. This will be up for the entire month. And we look forward to having a lot of people come and visit. And we do have a statement, so it talks a little bit more in depth about each of the photos. But thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you
We
for allowing me
appreciate
to be
it.
here. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
It's great.